She is not just your wife. She is your past, your test, your grace. But most men will never realize this until it's too late. Every man thinks marriage is about companionship, someone to share a home with, someone to raise children with, someone to stand beside you at events. But if that's all you see, you've already missed the depth of who she is. She carries your name, your reputation, your legacy, sometimes more fiercely than you do. She stands beside you when the world turns its back, and she fights battles for you that you will never even know existed. She absorbs pain so you can keep standing. She sacrifices quietly so your dreams can live loudly. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear. How you treat her is the reflection of the man you truly are. You can fool the world with charm and power, but your marriage will tell the real story. This is not just about romance. It's about respect, gratitude, and understanding that her presence in your life is not a coincidence. It's a blessing. So the question is, are you living like a man who truly deserves her? Seeing beyond the title of wife. She is not just your wife. Those 5 words carry more weight than most men realize. Because in the rush of daily life, the bills, the work, the responsibilities, it's easy to see her as just another part of the routine. The person who cooks, who reminds you of appointments, who shares your bed at night. But she is far, far more than that. She is the mirror of your soul, reflecting not only your love but also your flaws. She is the living evidence of the man you were when you met her, the man you are becoming, and the man you will be remembered as. Every interaction, every choice, every word you speak to her is shaping not just your marriage, but your own character. She is your past, because the person you chose to marry was shaped by the experiences, values, and beliefs you carried at the time. She reflects the type of love you believed you deserved and the kind of partner you were prepared to be. She is the living consequence of the choices you made before this moment. She is your test, because marriage is not a smooth road. It will push your patience, challenge your ego, and stretch your capacity for empathy. There will be days when you feel misunderstood, days when you disagree, days when you are tempted to let pride speak louder than love. Those are the moments that define you, not the easy ones, but the ones that test your ability to protect the bond you've built. And she is your grace, because in a world where loyalty is rare, she chooses to stay. She sees you at your worst and still believes in your best. She forgives mistakes, supports your dreams, and stands beside you in storms you could not weather alone. That kind of love is not owed to you. It is given, freely, from her heart. The tragedy is that many men only realize her value when it's too late, when the spark has dimmed, when the love has grown cold, or when she's no longer there to hold their hand. But wisdom means seeing the treasure while it is still in your care. To truly understand your wife is to look at her beyond the label, beyond wife, beyond partner, beyond mother of your children, and to see her as the soul who has tied her life's story to yours. She is not just someone who lives with you. She is someone who chooses to live with you every single day, despite knowing your flaws better than anyone else. So before we go any further, pause for a moment. Think about her. Think about what she's endured, what she's given, what she's carried, sometimes silently, for the sake of your shared life. Because this truth will follow us through every section of this journey. She is not just your wife. She is your past, your test, and your grace. The past you chose, consciously or unconsciously. Your wife did not simply appear in your life by chance. She is part of a path that was already being written long before you met her. Whether you courted her with intention or your story began in a sudden twist of fate, she is the living result of the man you were at that time. When you chose her, you were not just choosing a person. You were choosing a reflection of your own past. The values you carried then, the dreams you held, the wounds you had yet to heal, all of it influenced who you were drawn to. Some men choose with clarity, knowing the kind of partner they want to build a life with. Others choose with emotion, guided by attraction, chemistry, or timing. But either way, your choice was shaped by the person you were in that season of life. If you were a man who valued kindness, chances are you were drawn to her warmth. If you were a man searching for stability, you might have been drawn to her strength. If you were a man still healing from pain, you may have been drawn to her comfort. And here's the truth. You also chose her with your imperfections, your fears, your insecurities, your unspoken expectations. They were all part of the man who said yes to her. And she, in turn, said yes to that version of you. This is why your wife is deeply connected to your past, because she is tied to a chapter of your life that will never be rewritten. That moment you chose each other is fixed in time, but what you do with that choice is still unfolding. For some men, this realization is empowering. It means they can grow beyond who they were back then, and in doing so, elevate the relationship. For others, it can be uncomfortable, because it forces them to see that the struggles in the marriage are not just her fault or his fault. They are the result of seeds planted long ago. If you were impatient when you met her and you've never worked on that impatience, it will still surface today. If you were careless with your words back then, those words may still sting now. Your past choices and habits don't disappear just because you said "I do." They follow you into the marriage. But here is the beauty. Marriage can also be the place where you heal what you carried from your past. It can be where you learn patience, where you practice kindness, where you rewrite the patterns you inherited from childhood or past relationships. Your wife can be both a mirror of who you were and a partner in who you are becoming. Never forget, when you look at her, you are looking at the living proof of a choice you once made. And that choice is not just history, it is the starting point of the man you have the power to become today, the mirror of your character. Your wife is more than a companion. She is a mirror. Not a mirror that simply reflects your smile when life is good, but one that reveals the truth of your character in moments when the world isn't watching. In the way you treat her, you can see the man you truly are, not the man you present to others. It is easy to appear kind to strangers, respectful to colleagues, or generous to friends. But the real measure of your character is found in how you treat the one who knows your flaws better than anyone. The tone of your voice when you're frustrated, the way you listen when she's speaking, the patience you show when she makes a mistake. All of these moments silently testify to the kind of man you are. If you raise your voice at her but speak sweetly to others, the mirror shows you hypocrisy. If you ignore her needs but claim to care deeply for people, the mirror reveals a gap between your words and actions. If you respect her even in disagreement, the mirror reflects strength and maturity. Your wife's reactions, her emotional state, and even her confidence can often reflect the climate you create. A woman who feels safe, valued, and supported tends to bloom in her presence and energy. A woman who feels dismissed, neglected, or disrespected often carries that weight silently until it shapes her entirely. This is not to say that a wife's happiness depends entirely on her husband. Every person has their own battles, but in a marriage, you do influence each other deeply. The atmosphere of your home is often a reflection of the love, respect, and emotional safety you provide. And here's where the mirror gets sharper. She will not only reflect who you are now, but she will also reveal the areas where you need growth. If she often tells you she feels unheard, maybe the mirror is showing you that your listening skills need work. If she says, "Sir, he feels unappreciated," maybe the mirror is pointing to your lack of expressed gratitude. This is not about blame, this is about awareness. The reflection she shows you is an opportunity, a chance to adjust, to grow, to refine yourself into the kind of man who not only says he loves, but lives that love in daily actions. When you stand before this mirror, you have two choices. You can get defensive, break the mirror, and avoid the truth. Or you can accept what it shows you and become a better man because of it. Your wife is not just someone sharing your life. She is the closest, most honest reflection of the man you truly are. The question is, when you look at her, do you see a reflection you're proud of? The test of patience and understanding. Every marriage will face disagreements. No matter how much you love each other, no two human beings will always think, feel, or act the same way. Your wife will not always share your perspective, your timing, or your priorities. And when that happens, you are faced with one of the greatest tests of marriage, the test of patience and understanding. Patience is not proven when everything is going smoothly. Patience is proven when your nerves are stretched thin, when you are tired, when life's pressures weigh heavy on both of you. It's in those moments that your true emotional strength is revealed. A husband without patience will rush to anger, raise his voice, or dismiss his wife's feelings. A husband with patience will pause, breathe, and choose to respond with calm instead of reaction. This pause, this gap between emotion and action, is the foundation of emotional maturity. Understanding goes hand in hand with patience. It means making the effort to see the world through her eyes, even when you don't agree with her. It's realizing that her emotions, fears, and frustrations are just as real to her as yours are to you. Understanding doesn't mean you always have to agree. It means you respect her perspective enough to listen without judgment. Sometimes the test is in the little things. When she's late getting ready, when she forgets something you reminded her about, when she makes a choice you wouldn't have made. Other times the test is in life's storms. When finances are tight, when family pressures rise, or when past wounds resurface in the present. In those moments, you will be tempted to let frustration lead. You will feel the urge to make her see your point or admit she's wrong. But a wise man knows that winning the argument at the cost of losing peace is not a victory at all. The truth is, patience and understanding are not natural instincts. They are conscious choices. They are muscles that must be strengthened through daily practice. And the more you choose them, the more trust and safety you build in your marriage. When your wife feels understood, she feels valued. When she sees your patience, she feels secure. This doesn't just help during conflicts, it creates an environment where love can thrive even during the most difficult seasons. Your wife is not testing you to punish you. Life is testing you through her, testing the depth of your love, the steadiness of your character, and the sincerity of your commitment. If you pass this test, you don't just become a better husband, you become a better man. Because patience in marriage isn't about enduring her flaws. It's about embracing the opportunity to grow into someone who can love well, even when it's not easy. Grace in human form. If you slow down long enough to really see her, you'll realize that your wife is not just your partner. She is your grace. Grace is not something you earn. Grace is something freely given, often despite your flaws, your failures, and your shortcomings. And in many ways, that is what she has been to you. An unearned blessing that walks, speaks, sacrifices, and loves you even when you don't fully deserve it. Think about it. She has seen you at your weakest, at your most frustrated, at your most imperfect. And she's still here. She has witnessed the mistakes you've made, the words you wish you could take back, and the moments you fell short of being the man you promised to be. Yet, she chooses to love you through it all. That's grace. Grace is her forgiving you after a harsh word, not because she forgot it, but because she values peace over pride. Grace is her standing beside you in times of loss or failure, when walking away might have been easier. Grace is her caring for you in ways you often overlook, the meals she makes, the comfort she offers, the encouragement she gives when you're at your breaking point. And here's the thing about grace. It is most powerful when you don't feel like you deserve it. A wife's grace is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of incredible strength. It takes courage to love someone consistently, knowing they are flawed. It takes maturity to stay committed in seasons when the spark isn't as bright. This grace should never be taken for granted. The easiest way to kill love is to assume it will always be there, no matter how you treat it. If you expect her grace without giving her gratitude, you risk turning her love into exhaustion. A wise man doesn't just receive grace. He responds to it. He says thank you often. He acknowledges the sacrifices she makes. He meets her kindness with kindness, her loyalty with loyalty, her love with love. Your wife's grace is also a reflection of the relationship you've built together. It's not just something she gives out of habit. It grows when she feels valued, safe, and cherished. The more respect and love you pour into her, the more her grace overflows back into your life. And this is where many men miss it. They see their wife's grace as something that will never run out. But even the most loving heart has limits when it is consistently neglected or unappreciated. Grace should inspire you to become a better man, not make you complacent. So today, take a moment to see her not just as your wife, but as a living, breathing gift, one that could have chosen a different life, but chose you instead. That is grace, and grace, when recognized, should always be honored, the reflection of your energy. Whether you realize it or not, your wife often reflects the emotional climate you create in your home. A marriage is like a garden. The way you tend it determines whether it blossoms or withers. The words you speak, the tone you use, the effort you give, all of these are seeds, and your wife is the soil where those seeds take root. When you pour love, patience, and encouragement into her, she responds in ways that might seem almost effortless. She glows, she laughs more, she becomes lighter in spirit. You'll see it in the way she talks to you, in the way she moves around the house, in the way she interacts with others. That's not coincidence. That's your energy reflecting back at you. But the opposite is also true. If your energy is filled with criticism, neglect, or constant frustration, it will show. She may become distant, quieter, or less joyful. It's not because she has suddenly changed. It's because the emotional space you've created around her is not safe for her heart to fully open. A husband's presence carries weight. You might think that your mood only affects you, but in reality, it sets the tone for the entire home. If you walk through the door carrying the stresses of work without taking a moment to shift your energy, it can spill onto her. If you dismiss her feelings instead of listening, it creates walls between you. This is not about blaming yourself for her every emotion. She is her own person with her own experiences. But in a marriage, your energy and her energy are constantly influencing each other. The stronger your positive influence, the more you help her thrive. Ask yourself, when she talks to me, do I listen with presence or do I make her feel like a burden? When I'm upset, do I take it out on her or do I handle it with self-control? Do I make her feel cherished daily or do I wait until she complains to give her attention? The truth is, if you want your wife to be a source of warmth and joy in your life, you have to be intentional about the atmosphere you create. You can't expect flowers to bloom if you never water them. And here's the beauty of it. When you invest good energy into your marriage, it comes back to you multiplied. Her love becomes deeper, her support becomes stronger, her presence becomes even more of a comfort to you. Your wife is a reflection of your energy. Not because she's weak, but because she's connected to you on the deepest level. What you give her emotionally, she carries in her heart, and then she gives it back to you in her own way. If you want to change what you see in her, start by changing what you give to her. Your responsibility as a husband. Being a husband is not about holding a title. It's about carrying a responsibility. It is easy to call yourself a husband after a wedding ceremony. But real marriage begins when the music stops, the guests leave, and the daily work of building a life together begins. This is where responsibility steps in. Not the kind that feels like a burden, but the kind that demands maturity, consistency, and love in action. Your first responsibility is to provide emotional safety. A woman cannot flourish in a home where she feels criticized, belittled, or unheard. She should be able to come to you with her fears without worrying about being judged. She should know that even in disagreements, your respect for her will never be compromised. Your second responsibility is protection. This is not just about physical safety, though that is important. It's about protecting her heart from unnecessary pain, protecting her dignity in front of others, and protecting the unity of your marriage from outside negativity. You are her shield as much as you are her partner. Your third responsibility is partnership. A husband is not a ruler, and a wife is not a servant. Marriage is not built on domination, it's built on collaboration. Partnership means involving her in decisions, valuing her opinion, and recognizing that her perspective often sees things you might miss. Your fourth responsibility is growth. If you remain the same man year after year, your marriage will stagnate. You must be willing to grow in patience, in self-control, in communication, in how you express love. Your role is not to fix her, but to constantly improve yourself so the relationship becomes stronger. And perhaps most importantly, your responsibility is to love without conditions. Real love is not a transaction. I will love you if you do this. It's a vow that says, I will love ya, even on the days when you're not at your best, just as I hope you will love me when I'm not at mine. Too many men confuse responsibility with control. They think being the husband means being the final voice in every matter, deciding how things are done without question. But a real man understands that leadership in marriage is about service, not dominance. It is about asking, how can I make her life better today? And then acting on the answer. Your wife is not in your life to carry your burdens alone. She is there to share them, and in return, you carry hers. That is the unspoken promise of a true marriage. Not equal in every task, but equal in dedication to each other's well-being. When you take your responsibilities seriously, you don't just make her life better. You make your own life richer, because a wife who feels loved, valued, and secure will pour that same energy back into you and the home you share. Responsibility is not a weight, it's an honor. Treat it as such. The past you can heal through her. Every man carries a past. Some of it is filled with joy and pride, but much of it, if we are honest, carries wounds we don't speak about. Childhood disappointments, harsh words from parents, betrayals from people we trusted, failures that still echo in our minds. These experiences shape the way we see the world, the way we love, and the way we protect ourselves from getting hurt again. Your wife may not have been part of that past, but she can be part of its healing. In fact, marriage often brings to the surface the very wounds we thought we had buried. Maybe you struggle with trusting fully because someone in your past betrayed you. Maybe you find it hard to express emotions because you grew up in an environment where feelings were seen as weakness. Maybe you react strongly to criticism because deep down you still hear the voice of someone who constantly belittled you. Your wife is not the cause of these wounds, but her presence will reveal them. And if you are willing, she can help you heal them. When she stands beside you, even after seeing your flaws, it begins to replace the belief that you are unworthy of love. When she listens without judgment, it challenges the voice that told you no one will understand you. When she forgives you for your mistakes, it teaches you that love doesn't have to be conditional. But here's the truth. She cannot heal your past for you. She can only help create a safe space for you to heal yourself. You must be willing to face those wounds, to talk about them, to let her in on the parts of your heart you've kept locked. Healing in marriage is not about forgetting the past. It's about rewriting the meaning of it. The hurt you experienced before does not have to define the rest of your life. Through her patience, kindness, and presence, you can begin to build new emotional patterns of trust instead of suspicion, openness instead of withdrawal, love instead of fear. Sometimes this healing is quiet. It happens in the small moments. Her hand on yours when you're anxious, her encouragement when you doubt yourself, her laughter that reminds you life can be light again. Other times it happens in deep conversations, in late-night talks where you admit things you've never told anyone else. Your past may have shaped you, but it doesn't have to control you. And your wife can be the partner who helps you turn those old scars into wisdom, those old fears into strength. When you let her love be part of your healing, you're not just repairing what was broken. You're building something stronger than you've ever known. Her influence on your legacy. When most men think of their legacy, they imagine achievements, wealth, or a name that will be remembered in business or community. But the truth is, the greatest part of your legacy is not in buildings you construct, titles you earn, or possessions you accumulate. It is in the people whose lives you shape. And no one shapes your legacy more than your wife. Your wife is the heartbeat of the home. The tone she sets within those walls will echo for generations. And the tone she sets is often directly influenced by the way you treat her. If she feels loved, respected, and supported, she will pour that same love into your children, your family, and the life you've built together. But if she feels neglected, undervalued, or constantly criticized, that energy will also ripple outward. The way you speak to her, the way you handle conflict, and the way you honor her in front of others will be the model your children follow. Your sons will learn how to treat women by watching you. They will see whether you open doors for her, whether you listen when she speaks, whether you defend her in public. They will carry those lessons into their own marriages, for better or worse. Your daughters will learn what kind of love to expect by observing you. They will see if you honor their mother's opinions, if you speak to her with kindness, if you show affection even after years together. They will measure every man they meet against the standard you set. Even beyond children, your marriage influences the world around you. Friends notice how you speak about your wife when she's not there. Relatives watch how you interact with her at family gatherings. People are inspired or discouraged by the way you live out your commitment. In this way, your wife is not just a part of your life. She is a living, breathing chapter of your legacy. She amplifies what you get via her. If you invest love, patience, and honor, that investment multiplies into a home that thrives, relationships that deepen, and a family that walks in unity. If you invest neglect or selfishness, that too will multiply, in division, in resentment, and in broken trust. The most powerful men are not the ones who dominate their households. They are the ones who cultivate them. They understand that a legacy is not built in a single act of greatness, but in the daily acts of love that shape the lives around them. So when you think about the mark you want to leave on this world, look first at her. Because long after your name fades from public memory, the impact you had on your wife, and through her, on your family, will live on. And that, my friend, is the truest measure of a man's legacy, the balance of power and partnership. Marriage is not a battlefield for dominance. It is a space for partnership. Yet too often, husbands and wives fall into a silent struggle for control, forgetting that love cannot thrive, where one person constantly has to win and the other has to lose. As a husband, you may have been taught to see yourself as the head of the house. But leadership in marriage is not about ruling, it's about serving. True leadership invites collaboration, not submission. It creates a balance where both partners' voices matter, where decisions are made together, and where respect flows in both directions. Partnership means you recognize her strengths and trust her to use them. Maybe she's better with finances. Maybe she's more organized. Maybe she has sharper instincts in certain situations. A wise man doesn't feel threatened by his wife's strengths. He celebrates them. Because her abilities do not diminish yours, they complete yours. When power is balanced in a marriage, disagreements become opportunities for growth instead of wars to be won. You can listen to her perspective without feeling like it challenges your identity. You can share your own perspective without dismissing hers. You both move towards solutions that serve the marriage, not just one person's ego. This balance also protects your relationship from resentment. In a home where one person always has the final say, the other may start to feel invisible, undervalued, or trapped. But when both have a voice, both have ownership over the life you're building together. That shared ownership makes the victories sweeter and the struggles more bearable. The truth is, your wife does not need you to be perfect. But she does need you to be fair. She needs to know that her input matters, that you see her as an equal partner in building the life you share. She needs to trust that you will not use your role to silence her, but to lift her. Partnership is also about carrying the weight together. The responsibilities of life, bills, parenting, housework, emotional labor, should not fall on one person's shoulders. When you share the load, you strengthen your bond. You send the message that you are in this together, not living parallel lives under the same roof. And here's the beautiful part. When your marriage is built on partnership instead of power, love grows deeper. She feels safe to be herself. She trusts you more, she respects you more, and in return, she gives you more of her loyalty, affection, and commitment. So if you want a marriage that lasts, don't seek to hold all the power. Seek to share it. Because in marriage, power is not about control. It's about the ability to protect, nurture, and uplift each other as equals. A balanced marriage is not about who's in charge. It's about how far we can go together. The unseen battles she fights for you. Every man sees his wife in the visible moments, cooking dinner, caring for the kids, talking on the phone, sitting beside him in the car. But what most men overlook are the battles she fights quietly, the ones that never make it into conversation but still shape your life every single day. Your wife is often your first line of defense against the stresses and chaos of the outside world. She manages the emotional climate of the home, absorbing worries so you can rest, smoothing tensions before they explode, and thinking 5 steps ahead to make your life easier. These are invisible acts of service, often unnoticed until they stop. She may be defending you from unnecessary family drama, politely handling situations you might never hear about. She may be taking on extra responsibilities so you don't feel the full weight of financial or household stress. She may be silently enduring her own struggles, physical pain, emotional exhaustion, personal disappointments, without burdening you because she doesn't want to add to your load. And let's not forget the mental battles. Women often carry what's called the mental load, keeping track of everything that needs to be done, from the bills to the children's school schedules to the social commitments you both need to remember. This constant mental juggling is tiring, yet she does it because she loves you and wants your shared life to function smoothly. These battles are not always grand or dramatic. They are small, constant acts of love and protection, like making sure you have clean clothes for the next day, like quietly adjusting the budget so you can take that trip you wanted, like being your emotional anchor when work has drained every ounce of your patience. And then there are the battles she fights for your reputation and dignity, the times she speaks well of you in front of Oti. Hers, even when you've just had an argument. The times she defends your character when someone criticizes you. The times she encourages your dreams when you start doubting yourself. The danger is that when these acts go unnoticed, she begins to feel invisible. A wise husband makes it his mission to notice, to thank her for the little things, to acknowledge the effort she puts in, even when it's not glamorous. Because when a woman feels her sacrifices are seen and appreciated, she is more willing to keep giving her best. Your wife's unseen battles are not her obligation. They are her choice, an expression of her love and commitment to you. And the least you can do is fight just as fiercely for her, even if your battles look different. Remember, the strongest warriors are often the quietest ones. And in your life, she may be fighting for you more than you will ever know. The emotional language only she speaks to you. Your wife speaks a language that no one else in the world can. A language built not from words alone, but from years of shared moments, unspoken understanding, and emotional connection. It's a language she has learned over time, tailored to you, and it's one of the most intimate bonds you will ever experience. She knows how to read the subtle changes in your tone that others might miss. She can tell when your "I'm fine" really means you're carrying a weight you don't want to talk about. She knows the difference between your tired silence and your frustrated silence. She can see the way your shoulders slump when you've had a hard day, even if you're smiling to hide it. This is not accidental. It's the result of years of paying attention, of loving you closely enough to see the things you don't show the rest of the world. She has studied you without even realizing she was doing it. She knows your quirks, your tells, your habits, and your rhythms. And her emotional language is not only about understanding, it's also about responding. She knows when to give you space and when to pull you closer. She knows when to speak words of encouragement and when to simply hold your hand in silence. She knows the little gestures, your favorite meal, a gentle touch on your shoulder, a look across the room, that tell you, "I'm here," without saying a word. This emotional language is powerful because it creates a kind of intimacy that no one else can replicate. It's not based on grand romantic gestures, but on the deep knowledge of who you are at your core. It's the comfort of knowing there is someone in the world who understands you beyond the surface. But here's the thing, like any language, it must be spoken and reciprocated to stay alive. If you stop listening to her cues, if you ignore her own emotional language, that connection can fade. She also has moments when her "I'm fine" means "I'm hurting." She has silences that carry their own meaning. She has unspoken needs that require your attention. A healthy marriage is one where both partners learn and speak each other's emotional language. When you listen to her as deeply as she listens to you, when you notice the little changes in her voice or her energy, you strengthen the bond between you. You make her feel seen and valued, just as she has made you feel for years. This emotional language is not loud, it's not always obvious, but it is one of the purest forms of love, a silent, steady exchange of care and understanding that weaves two lives together. Treasure it, respond to it, because this is the language that will carry you through not just the good days, but the storms as well. Her sacrifices you'll never fully know. Behind every strong marriage lies a silent list, a list of sacrifices your wife has made, many of which you may never fully know or understand. Some of these sacrifices are visible. She may have set aside personal dreams to support yours. She may have left a career she loved to focus on building a home or raising children. She may have moved away from her family, her friends, and the familiarity of her world to build a life with you in a place that felt entirely new. But many sacrifices are invisible, hidden beneath her smiles and daily routines. You may not see the times she bit her tongue in an argument, choosing peace over proving a point. You may not know the moments she stayed up late to finish something you needed, even though she was already exhausted. You may never realize the internal battles she fought just to stay strong for you when her own world felt like it was falling apart. She has likely sacrificed time for herself to make sure you had what you needed. She has carried emotional burdens so you could focus on your goals. She has silently endured seasons where she felt unappreciated, yet continued to give because she believed in the life you were building together. These sacrifices are often made without asking for recognition. Not because they don't matter to her, but because love, for her, is not a transaction. It's a commitment. She doesn't keep score. She doesn't do it to get something back. She does it because she loves you, because she sees the bigger picture, because she is invested in the us more than the me. The danger comes when these sacrifices are taken for granted. When you stop noticing, she may stop sharing. When you stop appreciating, she may stop giving with the same heart. A wise husband makes it his mission to notice even the smallest sacrifices, to say thank you for the things she thinks you don't see. And here's the truth. Some of her sacrifices will remain forever unknown to you. You may never hear about the conversations she defended you in. You may never know the opportunities she turned down for the sake of your family. You may never feel the weight of the moments she cried in silence so you wouldn't worry. But just because you don't know doesn't mean they don't matter. In fact, it's those unseen sacrifices that often hold the most weight. So honor her, not just for the things you see, but for the things you'll never see. Treat her with the gratitude that assumes she's giving more than you realize, because she probably is. A marriage built on love thrives when sacrifice is mutual, not one-sided. If she is willing to give so much for you, be willing to give just as much for her. That balance is where respect grows, where love deepens, and where commitment becomes unshakable. How she carries your name and reputation. When you married her, she didn't just take your hand, she took your name. And with that name came a responsibility she carries every single day, often without you even thinking about it. Everywhere she goes, every interaction she has, she represents not only herself but also you. Her words, her manners, her conduct, they all reflect the man she is married to. When she shows kindness to strangers, when she treats others with respect, when she conducts herself with dignity, people don't just see her, they see you through her. She wears your name in conversations with her friends, her family, her colleagues, and even strangers. The way she speaks about you tells the world what kind of man you are. If she defends you, respects you, and honors you in public, it builds your reputation without you having to lift a finger. If she speaks well of you behind your back, it safeguards your dignity in ways you may never realize. But carrying your name is more than just social perception. It's about how she aligns herself with your identity. She is tied to you in victories and in failures. If you rise, she rises with you. If you fall, she shares in the weight of that fall. This is why her loyalty matters so deeply. A good wife will guard your reputation like it's her own, because it is. She will be mindful of how she behaves in public, how she engages in conflict, and how she responds when others speak ill of you. But here's the part that many men forget. She can only carry your name with pride if you give her a name worth carrying. If you treat her with love and respect, she will reflect that to the world. If you dishonor her privately, it will inevitably erode the honor she can show you publicly. The respect she has for you outside the home is born from the way you treat her inside the home. If you uplift her, she will uplift you. If you belittle her, she will struggle to stand tall when she speaks of you. When you see her in public and smiling, graceful, carrying herself with confidence, Understand that she is, in many ways, presenting your shared identity to the world. And when she does so with dignity, it's a gift to you. So honor that role. Thank her for defending you when you weren't there. Appreciate the way she carries your reputation without complaint. Recognize that she is, in a very real sense, your ambassador in every space she enters. Because one day, when people speak well of you, much of that praise will be the result of how she represented you. And when your name is remembered with respect, it will be in no small part because of the way she carried it, when she becomes your greatest support. There comes a point in every man's life when the noise of the world fades, when friends grow distant, when challenges seem bigger than victories. And in those moments, you begin to see who truly stands with you. For many men, it's their wife. Your wife has the unique ability to be both your safe place and your strongest motivator. She is there when opportunities slip through your fingers, when your confidence wavers, and when the weight of responsibility feels unbearable. In those moments, she does not just offer comfort, she offers belief. And sometimes that belief is the very thing that keeps you moving forward. She is your sounding board when you're uncertain about a decision. She is your encourager when you doubt yourself. She is the one who sees potential in you even when you're too tired to see it yourself. And here's the remarkable thing. She supports you not because she benefits from every outcome, but because she has tied her heart and her life to yours. Your wins are her wins. Your losses are her losses. She is invested in you in a way that no friend, colleague, or business partner could ever be. But her support is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's in the way she quietly manages the home so you can focus on work. Sometimes it's in the way she encourages you to take a leap, even though it scares her too. Sometimes it's in her ability to absorb your frustration without letting it destroy the connection between you. Her support can also take the form of challenge. She may push you when you're settling for less than you're capable of. She may refuse to let you give up when things get hard. She may remind you of your commitments when your will starts to weaken. This is not criticism. It's her way of making sure you live up to the man she knows you can be. A wife who is your greatest support is not just your partner in success. She is your anchor in failure. She doesn't disappear when the applause stops. She doesn't run when the storms come. She plants her feet beside yours and says, "We'll get through this together." And that's the kind of support you cannot buy, cannot demand, and cannot find just anywhere. It's a gift, one earned through trust, love, and the daily work of building a marriage that can weather any season. When you recognize her as your greatest support, you stop seeing her as just someone who's there and start seeing her for what she truly is, the foundation that holds up the man you are and the man you're becoming. Because when the world doubts you, and even you doubt yourself, she can still look you in the eyes and say, "I believe in you." And sometimes, that's all a man needs to hear.